So I'm Luke Alexander, President and CEO of Newcore Gold. We're advancing the Enchi project in Ghana. It's a district-scale exploration project that's fundamentally underpinned by very robust economics that we put out in a PEA. We're now taking it from a PEA to a PFS, so we're significantly de-risking the project, and our expectation is that that will create a real re-rate for the company, and the stock price will go up as a result of that. We do trade on the TSX as well as the OTC, as well as we trade on the Frankfurt Exchange. I will be making forward-looking statements. I'd encourage you to go read that on our website. While you're there, I'd also encourage you to sign up for our newsletter, as well as we put a lot of very good content out on social media. In terms of Newcore Gold, we have true alignment with the company. Board and management, we own 13% of Newcore. That's money that we've invested alongside investors over the last number of years. As I mentioned, we are advancing the project from a PEA to a PFS. That PFS will come out in June of this year, and we see that as a major catalyst for the company. But the other thing we get, and the optionality that Newcore provides for investors, is we have true district-scale exploration upside. So a re-rate from PEA to PFS, fundamental underpinning of value, and then beyond that, we have true district-scale exploration upside, which we think can create a lot of meaningful value for shareholders. In terms of my background, I spent the first 20 years of my career on the investment banking side of the business. I was in London for 12 years, advising different ASX, TSX, London-listed companies with different mining projects around the world. That's where I got to know the bulk of the team involved in Newcore Gold. We have a number of very successful companies that we've been involved in: Calibre, Newmarket, Integra. So it's a group with a proven track record of creating value for shareholders. Mal Carvasca, she heads up our business development side of the business as well as investor relations. So you'll either see her or myself sitting here. So if you want any follow-up, then please come and see either of us. In terms of capital structure, 284 million shares outstanding. We have a good cash position, 11 million at the end of September, but we then had an additional $10 million come in from the exercise of warrants at the end of February. So we sit around $15 million today. Market cap's about $180 million Canadian, so about $125 million US. So as I'm walking through this, keep in mind that we only trade at $125 million market cap. When we look at that compared to the NPV of the project and the exploration upside, that's something that I'm very excited about as an investor. If you have relationships with Canaccord, Haywood, or SCP, I would encourage you to go and look at their research. All of them cover us from a research perspective and publish on the company. Average target price for those three is about $2.10 a share. That compares to us trading at around 60 to 65 cents a share. So obviously those analysts and those brokerage firms see a tremendous amount of upside for the company as well. We're also very strongly backed by deep-pocketed, long-term institutional investors. These are investors that primarily invest specifically in the mining sector, specifically in precious metals companies, and they represent about 55% ownership in Newcore today. They recognize that tremendous exploration upside as well as that fundamental underpinning of value. For those of you who don't know Ghana very well, it's Africa's largest gold producer. It's the 6th largest gold producer globally, just behind Canada and the US. It's important for the economy, it's important for the tax base, as well as it means we have a huge amount of skilled labor in country for us to draw upon. I should come up with what the size of Ghana is relative to a European country, but it's a relatively small country, about 230,000 square kilometers. So a high concentration of gold production within a very small country. What we always say is Ghana is a tier 1 mining jurisdiction, but don't listen to me. I'm a single asset biased CEO, but look at what the major mining companies are doing. We currently have 4 of the top 10 largest gold producers on the planet with significant operations in Ghana. They include Newmont, Anglo, Goldfields, and Zijin recently came in and bought Newmont's non-core asset, the Achim asset. They've now recently bought Chifeng, which owns the Wassa asset. So they're growing their footprint in Ghana because they like it so much. Newmont has then invested an additional $1 billion in the country to expand their Ahafo project. Ahafo will represent about 15% of their global production. So for the biggest gold company on the planet to have that exposure to one country, I think speaks for itself in terms of security, in terms of the ability to get projects built, permitting, alignment with the government, skilled labor. All of those are key attributes to why Ghana, in our view, and these companies' views, is it's a tier 1 jurisdiction. We've also seen a huge amount of M&A in the country, which highlights that companies want to get into Ghana. In terms of our location, we are in the southwest corner of Ghana. Our project sits right here. You have some of the largest deposits on the planet in Ghana. On the Ashanti Belt, we've got Obuasi at 66 million ounces, Tarkwa at 25 million ounces, Damang at 10, Wassa 15. As I mentioned, we're then on the Sefwi Bibiani Belt. We've got very large deposits along trend from us, Chirano at 5.5 million ounces, Bibiani at 6.5 million ounces, and here's that Newmont project at 20 million ounces and growing. So this is another way to highlight the district scale exploration upside. Our project today sits at roughly 2.1 million ounces, and that is all constrained within 100 meters of surface. So there's a big opportunity for us to meaningfully grow that and move it towards the size of some of our neighbors. Directly on the other side of the border from us in Côte d'Ivoire, who I understand Germany will be playing in the round robin of FIFA, which is exciting. So on the other side in Côte d'Ivoire, we've got the Afema project, which is sitting at 4.6 million ounces and growing. So again, this all points to the district scale exploration upside that sits on our project. In terms of looking at our project a little more closely, so it's a large land package, 248 square kilometers in size. We've identified roughly 25 targets to date, of which we've only drilled on 9 of them, and 4 of them make up our resource today. So again, this speaks to the district scale exploration upside. Over 25 targets identified so far. In terms of our current drill program, we are in the midst of a 60,000 meter drill program. So far, we've released results for just under 35,000 meters. So we have an additional 25,000 meters of drilling that we'll be completing over the next number of months. So there'll be lots of news flow to come. The first part of this drill program was focused primarily on infill drilling, so converting ounces from the inferred to the indicated category. That's one of the key requirements to ultimately be able to put out our PFS in June of this year. With the additional drilling, it's back to focusing on pure resource expansion. A lot of that drilling is focused on the higher grade opportunity that exists at depth. As I mentioned, when you look at our project today, our 2.1 million ounce global resource sits within 100 meters of surface. When we take that 100 meters, and we're now looking at this from a long view, so from a side view perspective, and we superimpose that 100 meters across our closest neighbor, the Chirano mine, which sits at 5.5 million ounces and growing, you can see a lot of these greenstone hosted deposits really grow in size and increase in grade as you identify these high grade feeder zones. So that's where we're focusing a lot of our drilling at the moment, and we've been having some very good results. I'll take you into the project and firstly just highlight Siyum is our largest deposit, followed by Boyne, Nyam, Quachikrum. All of these deposits remain open along strike, so continuing to step out, drill near surface, and grow the overall size of the resource is an opportunity for us and something we'll continue to focus on. We then have previously drilled tested areas like Arati, Kojina Hill, Naquanta, Siyum South. These are all areas where we've made initial discoveries. We'll do follow-up drilling and over time add them to our global resource. We've then identified roughly an additional 15 targets across our project where we're doing either soil sampling, trenching to ultimately move those projects forward and determine which is the next to drill. But in terms of the current drilling that we're doing, if we look here at our Boyne deposit, focusing on the high grade, what we're chasing is these structures that we have identified on our project. As I showed you at Chirano, these high-grade structures will continue to extend at depth. So there's an opportunity for us to keep drilling below and chasing these structures. Important to highlight, as I mentioned, we average roughly 100 meters for those pits today. So big opportunity to grow the resource underground. If you look at some of our most recent results and you go back to our January press releases, you'll see that we hit 174 grams over a meter, 147 grams over a meter, including visible gold within that. Nice wide intercepts as well, 3.2 grams over 17 meters, 3.5 grams over 23 meters, within that 7 grams over 8 meters. So this all continues to prove out our geological thesis and understanding of the project is as we continue to chase these structures to depth, we will grow the size of the high-grade resource that exists on our project. Looking at this hole here, this is the hole where we've actually had the first ever visible gold on the project. So again, this is a way of highlighting that our geological understanding of the project is coming through. As we continue to chase these structures, we'll continue to find more high-grade intercepts on the project. Last thing I'll just kind of touch on is the PEA that we put out in 2024. This was a major catalyst for the company. If you go back and look at the share price reaction and the volume that traded, we had a very strong reaction from that perspective. What we outlined was a very simple open pit heap leach operation. Using a $3,000 gold price, it produced an after-tax NPV of $971 million. I'll just remind you, That compares to a market cap today of about 125 million US. So that has us trading on our PEA at roughly 0.1 to 0.15 the NPV of the project. As we move it to PFS, you'll typically see PFS projects trade in a 0.4 to 0.6 range. And I'd encourage you to go look at other projects out there that have advanced to a PFS, see where they're trading. So that's the fundamental re-rate opportunity that I'm talking about. PEA at 0.1 to 0.5, that could move towards a 0.4 to 0.6 multiple. And then on top of that, we could wake up tomorrow and find out that we found more high grade on the project. Nice IRR of 136%, 122,000 ounces of production. If I leave you with one thing, this might be the simplest way to look at it. For every $100 move in the gold price, so for every $100, better not touch that cable again. For every $100 move in the gold price, our project adds roughly, after tax, US $50 million to the NPV. So for every $100 move in the gold price, today we're adding roughly 40% of the NPV of the project. So if you're looking for leverage to the gold price, that's something our project also provides. District scale exploration upside that we're aggressively drilling with our 60,000 meters today, and then this fundamental re-rate opportunity that we expect will get crystallized when we put that PFS out in June of this year, and we'll see a re-rate from there. With that, I'll kind of leave it there, and I'd encourage any of you to come by and say hi, and we've got a German fact sheet there which has been handed out. Any questions before I finish up? I think I got a couple minutes here. No? All right. Thank you.